So after you file your complaint, it'll be investigated. And if it turns out not to be true, though, you can also be prosecuted for falsifying a complaint. You can't just file complaints because you're upset about something. It has to be something that's legal and true and valid. So everything that takes place is a legal document.
Right, but not on the complaint form, right?
Yeah.
If I don't have it notarized and I don't want it notarized, you guys are still investigated, right?
I'll still read it. Yeah, I just can't go any further without it being notarized. I mean, who is the officer?
But even if I, let's say, didn't...
Who is the officer? But I would prefer you turn that off.
Well,
I mean, we're talking
this is just for my own, I'm gathering media.
Have a nice day. I told you how to handle it.
Sorry, Chief.
I've already told you.
I'm just gathering data for the media, sir.
I'm just a picture in the frame. Pause, I don't control, I paint word pictures on the canvas of life.
I'm everywhere in public.
What do you want to do?
Okay, and what's your name, sir?
A legal problem, or is it a
just a complaint?
Attitude problem? What was it?
Well, I just really want a complaint to just put it on there.
Okay, so just go ahead and fill it out, date and time it, get it notarized, and bring it back.
Notarized?
Well, yeah, we have to make sure it's you. I mean, you have to verify. A complaint is a legal affidavit.
A complaint is a legal affidavit?
Well, it's an affidavit of fact. You're stating something took place that was wrong.
And what's your name, sir?
I'm Chief Grass.
Chief Grass, it's nice to meet you, Chief Grass.
So, after you file your complaint, it'll be investigated. And if it turns out not to be true, though, you can also be prosecuted for falsifying a complaint. So, I mean, it goes both ways. You can't just file complaints because you're upset about something. It has to be something that's legal and true and valid.
Okay.
So, I mean...
But I thought under Texas, it's only all you needed was my complaint of the person that it happened to, and me to sign that.
Verify it's you, and also, because if it's a legal complaint that would go to court or cause a deputy his job...
Yes, sir.
You have to be willing to testify in a hearing. So everything that takes place is a legal document.
Right, but not on the complaint form, right?
Yeah.
Even on the complaint, so I can't put in a complaint?
If the complaint leads to a prosecution.
Yes, sir.
Then that would have to, that's an affidavit. That's what that is, a fact.
So let me ask you, Chief, if I just want to complain on an officer because he had a bad attitude or was rude or unprofessional, surely that's not criminal, so
no, that's not
why should that be an affidavit?
Something that needs to be discussed with the officer to have a better attitude, because someday everyone gets in a bad mood occasionally and comes out and...
But I would still want to file a formal complaint.
Or whatever. And
right, but you guys aren't allowed to have...
it out on you.
Right, but officers aren't allowed to have bad days because you guys have too much authority and weapons. So
well, it depends on how it took place. If it's just a verbal complaint, like he was rude, like he snapped at you, unpolite, we'll say it wasn't polite what he did.
Yes, sir.
That's different. Or if he, were to use something that would... I don't know, it's just, there's a lot of ways it can go that, so yeah, just write down what you want to write down and bring it back in.
But if I don't have it notarized and I don't want it notarized, you guys are still investigated, right?
I'll still read it.
Would you investigate it? Will it still go on?
I'll tell him about it and see what took place and get his side of what took place. And of course, we always take these things seriously.
But would you, I want to know though, would you investigate it as if it was notarized? Would you do the same steps?
Yes.
You would?
Yeah, I just can't go any further without it being notarized. And really a complaint for attitude is all that is probably a discussion anyway with you and with him too.
But even if I...
Who's the officer?
But even if I, let's say, didn't...
Who is the officer?
Well, right now, I'm just trying to find out...
But I would prefer you turn that off.
Well,
we're talking
this is just for my own... I'm gathering media.
Have a nice day. I told you how to handle it.
Sorry, sir, Chief,
I've already told you.
I'm just gathering data for the media, sir. That's all, for public. That's all.
I told you everything I can tell you. All I'm going to be doing now is going over the same things I've already told you.
No, sir, I'm sorry, but I'm just asking questions to make sure I understand. Because at first you told me it had to be notarized.
Well, it is if it's going to be a formal complaint. If it's just a complaint because you want me to know what took place at some incident or someone wasn't as nice to you as you thought they should be, that may be a little different than if somebody runs into you with their car and then drives off without stopping. There are different types of complaints.
But that's what I'm saying, Chief. I want it to be a formal complaint. still, I want it to be in the
Well,
individual's.
there is no formal complaint just for attitude.
There is no formal complaint for an officer's
I
attitude?
will talk to the person, but it's your word against his.
So that's how we're
Is
going?
there-
That's how we're
You have it
going?
on film that I can witness and see what he did wrong?
But is that how we deal with things here? It's
No.
my word against all, and we know who loses that one, don't we?
Well, the problem is I can come in and say, you have a bad attitude right now, but do you really? No.
Well, until you investigate it, but I'm asking
How do
you,
I investigate that?
you wouldn't investigate it?
Well, no, but how would you investigate that?
Well,
I would ask you, did he have a bad attitude? Yes, he did. Officer, did you have a bad attitude? No, I did not. How does that even get proven? Unless
so,
you've got it on tape that I can see it,
yes, sir. Let's say I have it on tape.
okay, then I'll look at it.
Okay, but would you still investigate it,
It's
and
the
will it
same
still
investigation.
work the same way as a formal complaint without it being, that's the real
But
question
there's
here,
no punishment
Chief.
for it.
Chief, that's the real question here,
But
sir.
there's no punishment for it. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
It goes in his
Who
records.
are you anyway?
I just wanted to go in his records.
Who are you?
Sir,
Who are you?
I'm just nobody.
Okay, well, this conversation just ended.
Because I can't, because, okay, thank you, Chief.
So it's like a small claims lawsuit.
Listed in here. If I just wanted to fill out the complaint, just fill out the complaint and sign it, would you guys still investigate it without me filling out the rest of this?
Yes, sir, we would look into it. We always look into them.
Like, would it be just like you would if I filled out all of this, would you still do a investigation? If I just signed it and put the complaint, put the information without putting my driver's license number, my address, and not having this notarized under the threat of perjury, would you guys still accept it?
Yeah, we'd still accept it and we'd
And
still look into
investigate
it.
it?
Yeah, we'd look into it, see exactly what occurred.
And this process will still take place that you gave me?
Do I?
This process that you just given me, this process will still be followed?
Let me see exactly, I don't know exactly what the exact process is here with this. So,
Because you gave me the process.
Yeah, I don't want to misquote myself and tell you. Yeah, see, here's different types of complaints. Personal appearance, letter complaint. Here's anonymous. An anonymous complaint received from any of the receipt of this type of a complaint is this document details in writing and forward to the documentation directly to the chief of police or assessment of possible assignment for investigation.
But it's not an anonymous complaint, Lieutenant. I'm signing it.
Correct, you're signing it, but like you said, you said you didn't want to provide any of your information. So that would be considered an anonymous complaint. Because here it says a personal complaint, person making complaint document, duty supervisor rank, and that you listed everything in there. And then here's the letter of complaint. And then that would fall under anonymous because if you don't want to give us your information, we don't know who you are. So it would fall under the anonymous side of it. But even though that if you did this and you didn't list your name, you signed it and you listed the information that was there, like I said, it would be more than likely deemed anonymous, and it would go to the chief of police to be reviewed. And it would more than likely end up in my hands because I am the professional standards lieutenant.
Gotcha.
And we would look into it. And what we do is we look at things like that and we specify them as like, is it something that needs to go to internal affairs to be looked at, or is it something that can be handled on a supervisor level?
Gotcha.
At
So
that point.
if I provided you my email address in the complaint so I can be aware, so the citizen, right? Let's say the citizen files the complaint, they give you guys the email address because they do want to be kept abreast of the investigation. They write it, they sign it. Basically, I just want to know that the same steps that would be followed if I was to fill out all of this other stuff would still be followed, and that will be investigated, and if found this goes into that officer's record. Personnel record.
Yes, correct. Yes, it would still be, like I said, it'd go to the chief of police to be determined whether it would come to me, and then we would look at it to say, is it going fully internal affairs or is it going the other route? And then at that point in time, if we need to look at it into internal affairs and go to internal affairs, we'll take it down that route. But we're not gonna, just because you don't sign it or you don't put your name, you don't put your address, we're not gonna ignore it.
Okay. That's what I need to know, because as you know, under Texas, the law is that all a citizen has to do is make the complaint and sign it.
Correct.
That's all that's required. So all the other stuff that usually a lot of agencies won't, are not required by law, is usually just by that agency, because each agency has their own process, which
Correct.
is why I'm investigating the little AM process for us.
And we look into them. People call all the time and complain, and we look into them and try to make a phone call back to let them know what we found and if there's anything that we need to do better. And it may not be a disciplinary issue. It may be something like a training issue that we can do. Can we do things better? And maybe that's something that we're doing as a whole, and maybe we need to address that with our department, or is it something that the individual officer did that maybe we need to address with that individual officer?
And that's what I was looking for, Lieutenant. That's all. Because I've gone to some places, they say they don't even investigate it if you just provide the standards of the law, which is just the complaint and sign it. They say they won't even investigate it. So I'm happy to see that you all do investigate.
We'll look into it. And like I said, I get calls. I'm the professional standards lieutenant. I'm the internal affairs guy. That's what I do.
Gotcha.
And so when the people call to complain, they come to me, and I talk to them, and I get the information, and we look at it. And like I said, do we deem it as, is this something that needs to come to me, to internal affairs, to be formally investigated? Or is it something that the sergeant needs to address as far as training or just through a documentation?
Right.
And like I said, it may not be, a lot of people see this and go, well, he's doing wrong. He may be doing wrong, but can we improve it with training?
I agree.
Did he do something wrong technically, but could it be better? Is it officer safety? Is it a communication?
Absolutely.
What is it? Because we can always, and that's...
Absolutely.
Are you aware of Little M and our 4 core values?
Oh, no, I'm not.
Okay. We have 4 core values here, and it's integrity, customer service, innovation, and efficiency.
I'm just a black man with cameras.